that, we've also managed to take the private sector all data, make it available for investors within the National Geological Database. Our aim within data to make it available in a best use, in a very advanced way to investors, to de-risk the investment journey for our investors. And we're using a high advanced AI and technologies within our data acquisition. For example, we were using hyperspectral data acquisition that allows investors to identify new targets, to look at the current anomaly, and to develop for exploration programs within their interested area. And to support that, we've also not only covered the Arabian Shield, we're also covering the area between the Arabian platform, which is rich with oil and gas, and the Arabian Shield to make sure the entire puzzle of Saudi within data is completed.
And Abdulaziz, I think it's probably quite useful for people that in the room that maybe not so familiar with the Modern Group to maybe set the stall out. We've set the stall out in terms of that survey and how it's mapping the areas, but you've been in this market for a very, very long time, working both with the survey. I'm sure it's incredibly helpful, but before that as well. Maybe give the audience an idea of the scale and size of your operation and you know, the impact that that is having, and indeed surveys like this helping along the way.
Thank you. Modern Group is a holding company. One of our companies called Modern Chemical Services. We started 18 years ago with an international investment. So this is a JV company. Our partner is a publicly traded company in Europe, 130 years old. They exist in 56 countries around the globe, including the US and Canada and Northern Europe and of course Africa and Asia. We have started with one industrial complex on the eastern region, but with the growing demand and the push from the government in the mining sector, we have now 4 major industrial zones serving all mines across the country. In addition, we're also serving the region. So our company is becoming a regional company as part of the Vision 2030. Regarding Saudi Arabia framework, which is translating ambition into real outcome, because every successful discovery have clear financial executable path to be a real mine, an industrial asset. As we heard yesterday from the ministerial panel, that the rock in Saudi Arabia of phosphate and the rock of bauxite is becoming aluminium, and other downstream product, including fertilizer. Saudi Arabia now have proven that opportunity in the mining sector exists, including the downstreaming. We have one company which everybody knows, which is Ma'aden. The last few years have made great success, proven that opportunity in the mining sector are real and worth looking at. And actually, Ma'aden today is the 3rd largest market cap in the kingdom and the biggest stock exchange because of these opportunities. So what we are saying here, it's no longer, it's an aspiration, it's an operational hub for the mining sector.
And we'll dig into some of those things that you talked about there in terms of bankable assets and
yes,
and how that's created. But Ken, you're in the kingdom and you've chosen the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to be investment partners with. So kind of what attracted you? We've kind of seen the layout here of a very professional framework and a history, and also the potential of the assets in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, we are Appian Capital Advisory is a private equity fund which specializes in investing in developing mining assets. So we have a lot of experience worldwide. We've brought into production some 12 mines and projects in the last 9 or 10 years. So we have a lot of experience worldwide. But we have been speaking with the Kingdom for quite some time, and we've been spending time with the ministry, looking at the data and getting familiar with the possible pipeline of projects. And you know, it's an impressive pipeline, and you know, something that Appian can say from a worldwide setting. You know, you can't really compare maybe Saudi to, say, Africa or maybe Australia, because, you know, on a landmass basis, that's a bit unfair. But basically, you know, on the size of the country and the geologic endowment, it's very prospective and has proven itself for many, many years in the mining area. So, I mean, we're excited to partner and try to look in and develop some of the pipeline projects faster.
Yeah, and we'll talk about, maybe we'll talk about it now, actually. We'll get our money's worth. The pull factors, Ken, that, you know, are attracting, as you said, you know, there's the big jurisdictions such as Australia and Africa, but what are the pull factors of the Kingdom that people in the room should be looking out for?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can contribute as well, being here in the Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of them, especially if you compare on a world basis. There is the geological endowment, right? It's most important right off the top. But there are some other aspects that we look for as a developer of mines, and one of them is the regulatory environment and the permitting timeline. Now, on a world basis, that's one issue that is difficult for a company like Appian. We have some, in many of the jurisdictions, we have very long permitting timelines, and they're getting longer, not shorter. And Saudi Arabia is completely aware of the issue and is talking about streamlining and improving and getting more efficient around that aspect of the business. And I can tell you that it has a big impact on the success of your operations, because it hits the very front end of your development timeline. If you have delays and so on in the front end, it has a multiplier impact on your cash flows and your discounted cash flows and the value of the projects and your ability to invest and make a return on these projects. So trying to compress the front end of the development cycle is a very important aspect, and it's something we're looking for all over the world. So, and we're seeing it here in the Kingdom. Other pull factors may be, I mean, there's a clear drive to develop the industry and grow the industry. That is not happening all over the world. Some of the more established mining industries, they tend to be a little bit complacent, and you know, they say to themselves, well, we have many mines, we have lots of minerals coming, and they're a bit complacent, and that's not happening here. So that, I think we take that as a very positive drive here. Access to workforces, trades, the service sector. Yes, it's maybe not as developed a mining economy as others in the world, but we believe that probably that's not an issue. We have a strong service sector in the oil and gas side of things. We and there's certainly mining service already. So those are just some of the pull factors. Maybe
and we can pick those apart, and indeed we'll go to Abdulaziz, because he's got. I think it's also worth sort of saying what minerals are in the ground in the Kingdom, because a lot of people might not realise the extent of that, and then maybe focusing on bauxite, because I know that's one of your major areas, and then talk about the factors that Ken's mentioned there in terms of the ecosystem and things that literally come out of the ground apart from bauxite, the multiplier effect on the local communities, and the mines being based all around the Kingdom as opposed to some industries just based in capitals, for example.
Regularity, clarity, and technical capability are decisive. It's reduced risk and unlock financing. Regularity, clarity give confidence to investors. Also technical capability. If you combine the two, it will make investor more at ease, and they will be able to raise funds.
And
So those licensing, technical data available make deals, bankable. And financing is a big issue in the mining because of the long-term nature of this business. So I believe Saudi Arabia is geared up to launch a major hub for mining. It's already, I can see it.
And in terms of the assets in the ground you're going after, maybe let's talk about those so people understand what's on offer in terms of gold, all the different minerals.
Go ahead.
Oh, Ahmed.
So that's an important question. When we started looking after regulation, we wanted to find the right recipe to make a very competitive mining regime. So we went to Australia, Canada, United States, South Africa to make sure that we captured the right aspects of having a very competitive mining code. So Ken mentioned the regulation environment, and in Saudi, when we built the mining code, we had three main aspects. First one was licensing and financing regime, how to make it much competitive. Second were the incentives, how to de-risk and incentivize mining companies. And the last one was sustainability. Social and environment and health were essential to have a very competitive code. We were partnering with different global international institutions like World Bank, ICMM, and others. And we believe that we built our oil and gas sectors based on partnership. Our industrial sector also built on partnership basis, and that's the Saudi Arabia model in building and developing a sector. When it comes to minerals, Saudi Arabia enjoys around $2.5 trillion worth of minerals. As mentioned by Abdulaziz, around 70% is phosphate, and the kingdom today is responsible for food security for around 25% of the globe with its fertilizers production. And just last month, during the Future Minerals Forum, we announced the discovery of the rare earth element here in Saudi. It's a large deposit, and as you've known, we've signed with MP Material through Ma'aden to support developing that deposit. When it comes to gold as well, we've also have one of the largest gold deposits here in Saudi. It's Mansoura Masarra, with production reaches around 300 million ounces annually. Copper, Barrick today is also producing copper from Jebel Said. And if you add all of them together, and since 2017 to today, at that stage we had only 6 companies in mining in Saudi. Today we have north of 226 active mining companies in Saudi. If you look at the investment at that time, it were north of $8 billion. Today it's north of $48 billion investment on the mining sector. When it comes to exploration as well, at that time we spent around 100 million Saudi riyal. Today we're spending more than 1 billion Saudi riyal in exploration. We want to accelerate exploration, have a very resilient and agile mid and downstream manufacturing for our minerals. And Ken mentioned something important about permitting. It's an international challenge. It's part of our regulation. It's part of our commitment. So the kingdom today issues a exploration license in 6 months and issues a mining license in 90 days. And I'm sure that's unheard of globally due to lots of dynamic relation between the government entities in order to support investors. As we always say, we are as government entities, we're investor-centric ministers to support the investor journey, and we make sure the investors has the right tools to perform their journey in a simple way. I'll just give an example. In 2022, we had the first merit-based auction for exploration license. It was a zinc asset. And in December, we hand over a mining license for that zinc asset. They've developed their production in 2 years. They increased their resource from around 25 million to 75 million ton of zinc in 2 years. And today they're ready to construct and move with the mining stage. On top of that, they got also the needed financing from the Saudi Industrial Development Fund to perform their development and perhaps going into production in the next 2 years.
So thank you for that, because that's given everybody a really good sort of foundation of understanding what's coming out of the ground, where, and how much is being invested. But Abdulaziz, you're actually doing it.
What I wanted to mention is that because we are on the ground, we see international companies coming to the kingdom. We see many funds from the whole world coming to the kingdom to invest. And the reason why, because the vision of mining in Saudi Arabia is no longer an aspirational, it's operational. So opportunity do exist across the board. And I don't see many countries have the same setup that the kingdom have now. So I believe this mining sector is a real hub. And I'm sure we're going to see many, many more projects, many more investment from across the globe.
And could you give us a little insight? Because I know that, you know, obviously we were putting in context there the bauxite, which I know you've been very busy in. Give us an idea of a typical sort of mine in bauxite that, you know, because you talked before about the multiplier effect there and the impact it has on a local community in terms of education and all the rest of it.
Yeah, well, the bauxite is a raw material that is converted to alumina and is converted to aluminium. And also it's converted to many products in the aluminium sector. Also the fertilizer side and the rock side is converted to fertilizer. Saudi Arabia today is one of the most important countries that produce diamond ammonium phosphate. So it's becoming a major hub for this part. So it's not only a mine on rocks. There is the industrial asset associated with it, which is available to do in the kingdom.
Yes, and let's build on that, because bring Ken in on this, and then of course the rest of you as well. You know, you tend to think about mining, just stuff coming out the ground, but of course the service industry that we mentioned at the beginning is something that's growing up. There's a long history and tradition in the kingdom because of oil and gas, as you mentioned, Ken, but it is an important cog in the ecosystem. So from where you're standing, do you think it's got the ability to scale? You kind of mentioned maybe oil and gas as a template.
Yes, I would have thought that, I mean, Appian's view is that scaling will not be a problem at all. But, you know, you guys would be much more up on it than I am. But the one thing about mining is it is very, it does tend to be very people intensive and service intensive. So there's a lot of small services that revolve around a mine. For example, in our, we have a nickel mine in Brazil. We employ about 2,000 people to operate the mine directly. We have another 2,000 direct associated contractors that touch the mine on a daily or weekly basis. But then we estimate we have at least another 15,000 associated jobs in the surrounding area, you know, food, transport, housing, there's a number of things. So all of that very low-level organic, I wouldn't actually call it service sector, but you know, we're sort of talking about it in that way. I think it's very important to support a mining operation. They're long-lived assets and they're very people intensive.
Yeah, and Ahmed, can you add to that? Because obviously in the kingdom, it's something that it will be very firmly in your sights as well, in terms of the contribution that's going to make and how you can bring people in and develop the partnerships there.
Sure, and when it comes to services, it's an important sector, and as the demand of licensing grows, the service sector will also grow. Our aim from services to do localization, cost advantages, and also to deliver the highest quality. When it comes to mid and downstream, I think in Saudi we're strong competitive country in the services. We're utilizing oil and gas infrastructure services, converting them to the mining as well. When it comes to upstream, we're also supporting with the high quality maintenance centers in order to have a clear and essential service sector in Saudi. We started in 2018 with around 17 service companies. Today they are north of 35 service companies in Saudi, supporting the entire value chain from exploration all the way to final product. And on the other hand, the kingdom supported, the government support that with incentives, as the exploration enablement program supports up to $2 million for company per license. That goes up to 15 license, and that does not only support the exploration activity, it also supports the experts and staff. So we cover 100% of Saudi salaries, and we cover up to 15% of expat salaries in condition of knowledge transfer to our youth geologists going forward in the future.
So let's spend the last kind of segment talking about the future, and I think technical capability plays into that, because obviously technology is making such a big impact. Ken, obviously it's something that you highlighted before, but in terms of technology in this sector, what are you most excited about, and where are you seeing the most investment?
I guess if we think about mining itself, the actual technical aspects of mining, I think the most money is going into research money, is going into process control and optimization of mineral processing. I would say that's where most of the money is going in, but there is a lot of money going into exploration because, and also the early stage development of mining projects, and it's really driven by that theme that I'm sure everybody has heard, is that if we think about what we need 30 years from now, we're going to have to be mining probably we're going to have to open as many mines in the next 50 years that we opened in the last 1,000 years. So there's this theme of the demand for minerals looking forward, electrification, I mean, you name it, we need minerals. So there is a lot of money going into exploration and the stage right after exploration. So you've got something which is almost a discovery, but you need to develop it very quickly and decide if it's feasible and economic and get it into production very quickly. So that part of the life cycle of the mines, that's where there's a lot of money going in there. That's where Appian is investing a lot of money.
It sounds like it's speeding up. Is that your experience? I guess, you know, obviously being such a large player, you're integrating that.
I just want to touch base that Modern have announced a major agreement a few months ago on the digital solution and AI to support exploration and the mining activity. This will have a major impact on the mining sector. The reason I mentioned this, because I want to make sure all investors realize that most of the services worldwide are available in the kingdom. So this is a milestone for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We're already employed by many mining companies for that business. And this is a big success for the country to attract the world #1 provider of digital solution for the mining sector.
And do you think, Ahmed, that's going to allow the sector to perhaps leapfrog other practices around the world? Because I know we had this in telecommunications years ago when I used to deal with all the IPOs, that, if you didn't have fixed line telephony, you know, it was no good at all. And then, of course, we saw the mobile revolution. Do you think because, I mean, obviously there is a history there, but maybe your ability to be more flexible and quicker with and easier to bring in that new technology than maybe more established bases?
100%. So if you look at today, it takes 8 to 15 years to build a copper mine. And the globe cannot wait for 15 years to have more mines. So in the kingdom, we're investing a lot with our partners in Humane and others to accelerate the AI innovation technologies, especially when it comes to data acquisition and also when it comes to processing, to make sure that the exploration takes less time going to the production stage. So for example, today we're using hyperspectral data imaging to find the right anomalies in the Arabian Shield. And also we're using a lot of blast movement technologies to support the production stage at the same time.
So I think you guys have given everybody a really, really good map of not only a geological map, but also an investment map out there and where the opportunities are and in what parts of the industry that of course is open for business. So thank you so much, Shukran Jazilan, for joining us today. And I think a warm round of applause. And thank you so much. Thanks, Ahmed, Abdulaziz, and Ken. It's been an absolute pleasure. Great, thank you. Make yourself comfy because we're going to move on now to our next masterclass, and this is enabling midstream for key metals in Saudi Arabia. Now, it's going to focus on the critical role of midstream development in unlocking the metals and mining value chains that we've just been talking about. And of course, this session will explore how key institutions are enabling midstream capacity for the priority metals that were outlined and highlighting complementary roles of government and financing entities in supporting industrial growth. Excuse me. So I would love to invite the moderator for this session up to the stage, Rakan Al-Dabasi from MIM, and you are free to invite your esteemed panelists to the stage. So please take a seat and let's have a warm round of appreciation for our next panelists.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. We are here today to talk about the midstream metal, the bridge where we turn the raw minerals into a high valuable material for industry. To discuss how Saudi Arabia building the sector, I'm joined by Mr. Naif Haibani, the Director of Credit Relationship Management at Saudi Investment Development Fund, and Mr. Mohammed Maghrabi, the General Manager at Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources. Let's dive into our discussion. I will start with you, Mr. Mohammed. Saudi Arabia is rolling out a comprehensive mining strategy, including a new exploration round, streamlined permitting, and incentive for processing and refining. Based on your engagement with investors, where do you see the biggest and immediate opportunity for international collaboration? Exploration, geological surviving, or mine development, or mineral processing?
Thank you very much. First of all, we would like to thank the PIF for this opportunity where we will highlight our strategy, our vision for this important sector. If we look at 2017 mining strategy, it was mainly focusing on localization and improving the net trade balance. But because of the new trends, when we talk about electrification, the strategic critical minerals, there has been a big shift in our strategy where we have developed or updated our mining investment law just to attract investors to come and explore the different opportunities in the mining sector, local or international investors to come and explore these opportunities in the kingdom. In addition, we have developed a new program called the National Mining Program, where we enable local companies to go and explore strategic minerals outside of the kingdom for the sectors that we need the raw material here in the kingdom. So there has been a lot of initiatives that we have developed in the last couple of years just to pattern this new trends in the market. And also during 2025, we have updated our mining strategy where the focus was placing Saudi Arabia as a major processing hub, one of the top 10 mining processing hubs in the world. And we have shifted our strategy from first come, first serve basis to a more competitive approach to maximize synergies with potential investors. When we look at the strategy, there was several objectives that we have focused on. First of all is the use of the minerals available in the kingdom. As you know, we have around $2.5 trillion of minerals under the ground, so we are accelerating the exploration and the mining activities in the kingdom because it's the major supplier for these industries. And also when we talk about enabling different strategies, when we talk about the National Industrial Strategy, where it focuses on new sectors like the auto sector, aerospace sector, and construction sector, of course. And also when our sector is a major enabler for the construction. As you know, Saudi Arabia is building new cities from scratch, which will require huge demand from the metals sector. In addition, also, we have one of the objectives is to build a strong presence of Saudi Arabia in major value chains like the copper, like the lithium, battery material. All of these are objectives that will enhance the sector here in Saudi Arabia. When we're going back to what are the opportunities or what are the major value chains that we should highlight to investors, let me give you like a summary about what are the major value chains that we are targeting here in the kingdom. When we look at, let's take the most mature one, which is the steel. So you can see that there is a lot of companies in Saudi Arabia producing crude steel or let's say primary products. But we are missing the upstream, which is the pelletization plant or the mining activities in this sector. So we are focusing on how to secure the raw material localized here in the kingdom. Also, when you go further in the value chain, in the downstream business, you can see there is a lot of opportunities that will serve the defense sector and also the auto sector, of course. So there is a huge demand coming from different sectors that we want to localize in the kingdom. The other value chain is the aluminum value chain. We have a fully integrated facility of aluminum in the kingdom, but we want to become a major supplier, increasing our production from around 1 million to around 3 or 4 million ton, which will place Saudi Arabia the second or the third producer in the aluminum business because of the competitive advantage available in the kingdom, availability and competitive prices of the energy and the raw material. Another value chain which is important is the copper. We have a strong demand from the energy sector and also construction. And also we have the raw material. The important thing or the advantage of the copper value chain is the availability of raw material in the kingdom. So currently we are working and developing a copper smelter project in the kingdom where we secured the incentive for this project just to attract investors to come and explore this important opportunity. Because if you look into the region, there is no copper smelter in the whole region. So that's another opportunity that we're discussing. Also, when we look at the titanium, for example, Saudi Arabia is one of the major suppliers for the aerospace sector. We are the second largest exporter to the US, aerospace grade. Now we are currently looking on how to double the capacity and also to go further in the value chain. As long as you go from the upstream to the downstream, the value is created and the skilled jobs will be created in the downstream business. Another important value chain is the silicon or the quartz value chain, where Saudi Arabia is shifting into renewable energy sources. So the quartz or the silicon value chain will be developed from scratch. Currently, there is no any part of the value chain is being produced in the kingdom, so we're looking into several opportunities just to supply the renewable sector. And there is other also value chains that can be discussed with the investors.
Alhamdulillah, يعني it seems there is a lot of opportunity يعني for investors. Mr. Naif, يعني this kind of opportunity and industry need a huge capital to get started. How does the Saudi Investment Development Fund support this project? And what is the specific enablers are in place to help private company to manage these costs?
So SIDF has a long experience in financing metal projects across the value chain. Since 2018, we have financed projects with a value of around 64 billion riyals. SIDF's role is not to only be the lender, but our role is to structure the project to be bankable and attractive for banks and other lenders to come in. So these types of projects are capital intensive, technically complex, they require long tenors, and they're exposed to global commodity cycles. We finance projects across aluminum, copper, and steel industries and other metal sectors. We work closely with the sponsors, EPC contractors, and the off-takers to identify and try to mitigate any market, operational, or construction risks. And this is being done through having long-term debt facilities with designed repayment schedules that are coupled with the cash flows of the projects and putting in place a robust contractual and security framework. So in the past couple of years, SIDF has been encouraging the hiring of financial advisors. These financial advisors run what we call a structured finance process, which is conducive of other lenders. The idea is to make the project more attractive for both investors and lenders. So you could say that over time, SIDF evolved from being a pure lender to a developmental partner that structures that project and makes it more attractive to crowd in both international and local commercial lenders, export credit agencies, and strategic partners that will support the kingdom in moving from resource-based projects to more value-added projects that are competitive globally.
Alhamdulillah, I mean, there is an opportunity and there is some enabler here. Maybe this is a question for you, both of you, Muhammad and Naif. I will start with you, Muhammad. How do you see the strategic enabler for midstream development through infrastructure development, policy framework, financing tools?
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very important question, and most of the people think that the incentives and the funding is the most important part when you want to attract investors. But I think Saudi Arabia has two advantages that we can use. One is the availability of raw material. The other thing is the demand. So when we look at about the access to minerals, we have developed the acceleration program where we're enabling investors to come and explore these opportunities so we can extract the minerals in the kingdom so we can use them for these strategic industry. Also, Manara has been established, which is a JV between PIF and Ma'adin, where their role is to secure also critical minerals for strategic industries. And they have done a tremendous job in the last couple of years where they have secured raw material for these industries. Also, we have the National Mineral Program, which is a program enabling local companies to go and explore different opportunities outside of the kingdom to secure the raw material for Saudi Arabia. So you can see there is a lot of initiatives from the mineral point of view. But when you look also about the demand or the market access, first of all, we have negotiated, we have signed several trade agreements so the local companies can have access to these strategic markets. Also, when you look into the protection, one of the enablers for the sector is how can you protect the local producers. So we have discussed the import tariff policies to see how we can protect the local producers and also to be fair with the downstream players also. And also one of the most important enablers from my point of view is the segregation of the demand. If I come to an investor and tell him, this is the demand in Saudi Arabia, I think this is a very important tool for the investors to come and explore these opportunities. The funding, I will leave it to my colleague. When we go back to the incentives, there is two types of incentives within the mining strategy. One is sectorial incentives, where we provide certain customized, specific incentives for strategic industries just to help these opportunities to be localized in the kingdom. And also we have another approach which is case by case incentive program where we work with the investors to identify exactly what kind of enablers or incentives is required to make this project feasible and also sustainable for a long period of time. So these are the major, let's say, enablers. Also, there is enablers in the infrastructure and logistics, where we have a program to develop the infrastructure in the mining sites, especially, and the main industrial cities with the logistic, for example, like the railway or the train bringing the raw material from the north to the east of Saudi Arabia. The government has spent a lot of budget on this project just to make the sector visible in the kingdom. Also, we're working on several enablers for the talent and localization for the kingdom to develop new skilled jobs for the Saudis in Saudi Arabia, also the technology and innovation and policies. All of these are major enablers that we are working on just to make the sector competitive and attractive for investors to come and explore these opportunities.
So from SIDF's perspective, enabling midstream development starts with understanding the nature of these assets. So these assets are highly capital intensive, such as smelters, for example. They require long construction periods, which depend on patient financing that has to be coupled with the cash flows of each and every project. So SIDF's role focuses on structuring these projects in a bankable and a suitable manner that is not only enabling SIDF to finance this project, but again to enable the private sector to participate in this project, so it will become attractive to both international and local commercial lenders, export credit agencies, and any other financial institutions. This structuring approach has allowed SIDF to not only provide the financing, but to work closely with the other lenders to have a proper security package that is feasible for both lenders and for the investor, while working closely with relevant government stakeholders such as MEEM and MISA for incentives or whatnot to mitigate any construction or market risks, and that would ensure alignment with the national industrial objectives. By doing so, we do fulfill the mandate of crowding in private capital, enhancing the overall bankability of the projects, and supporting the accelerated development of midstream capabilities, which is essential in building a more competitive and integrated metals value chain in the kingdom.
Good. So the opportunity is there, the market is here, the raw material is also available, and also the Saudi Investment Development Fund not become just a lender, it also developed for the investors. Looking ahead, Mr. Mohammed, how will this local processing plant make Saudi Arabia a major player in global supply of metals for things like electrical car and green energy?
Okay, thank you very much for this important question. Let's look at it from where you ended. When we look at the auto sector, for example, in Saudi Arabia is developing the auto sector, planning to reach to around 500,000 vehicle units produced in the kingdom. So we're talking about the whole EV value chain to be localized in the kingdom, starting from the extraction of raw material or through securing the raw material from outside the kingdom through different programs. Also developing a lithium refinery, which will be a major raw material for the batteries that is produced in the kingdom. So we are working on how to localize the whole value chain of the EV metal, not only to secure the demand in the kingdom, but also to be a major exporter. When you look into Europe or to the US, there, by 2035, there will be a shortage of around 800,000 metric ton of lithium products in Europe, for example. So we are looking into how to become a major supplier to the European market and also to secure the demand in the kingdom. Looking into the copper, because of the electrification, because of the growth in the energy sector, there is a lot of demand coming from the copper sector. That's why Saudi Arabia is looking into localizing the copper smelter opportunity in the kingdom, not only to secure the demand for Saudi Arabia, but for the region also. So we're looking into a wider range, not only Saudi Arabia, but also to supply the big demand in the region. When we go, for example, for the aerospace sector, for example, where we talk about aluminium, titanium, Saudi Arabia is currently a major supplier of titanium. We're doubling our capacity, not only for the local market, but to expand our presence in the international market until we develop the downstream of the titanium in the business. In parallel also, we're working in the aluminium value chain, where we are developing an aluminium plate project in the kingdom, which will supply the aerospace sector in the future. So you can see these are the major, let's say, value chains that we are developing currently just to supply strategic industries. Energy, for example, as you mentioned, renewable energy, all will come within these value chains.
Good. Mr. Naif, we want to elaborate on this question.
Yeah, so if you would see that, if you take China, for example, although it is a leader in the market, it's not necessarily allocated and have a very good upstream resource base. On the contrary, here in Saudi, we're rich in the upstream base, but what makes China successful is that they do have a very large midstream base. This will enable to go more downstream and to go on into the sectors that my colleague mentioned, being aerospace and whatnot. And our participation in the past couple of years, we've been seeing that shift in financing. There are large-scale projects that are coming and being situated in that capitally intensive midstream area, which will enable a market for either local downstream or either exports to the global market.
Thank you, Mr. Naif. I mean, I will end with the last question, maybe for both of you guys. Based on what we understand, the midstream is a major, contribution and to build this bridge between the raw minerals and the material. If you would like to specify or major opportunity in a midstream, where do you see the future in Saudi Arabia?
Well, when we look at what is the specific opportunity, it's a very wide question. That's why I think there is several value chains that I've highlighted that I think is very strategic for the kingdom, especially when we look at the well-developed ones. When you talk about the steel, aluminium, copper, titanium, these are the value chains which has multiple of opportunities that can be discussed in details with investors, some in the midstream, some in the upstream, and some also in the downstream, which will contribute heavily in strategic industry, not in Saudi Arabia, but in the worldwide also. So, as mentioned in the copper smelter is a very strategic. If we look in the last 10 years, there is no copper smelter established in any part of the world except of China, because of the high capex of this project, and also because of the high risk of this project. When you look at the steel, there is a lot of downstream, for example, like the casting and forging project in the kingdom. It's a high-risk project being established in the kingdom because of the huge demand coming from the oil and gas industry, although the returns from this project is a bit low when you compare it to international standards. Aluminium, for example, if you look into the European or into the US, the most of the big companies has closed their facilities in the aluminium business because of the high energy intensive of the aluminium smelters industry. That's why there is a big room for the GCC to become a major contributor to this sector, and this is why Saudi Arabia is looking how to shift from 1 million to around 4 million ton of aluminium primary products produced in the kingdom. So all of these are opportunities that I think can be explored with the investors because of the advantage of Saudi Arabia and because of the new trends around the world.
Mr. Naif?
So we always say the private sectors know better than us. They're putting their own money inside in the projects, so they're going to do their due diligence. They know which opportunities suit them. For us, we're open to financing any opportunity as long as the project is feasible, it's bankable, makes sense, and is aligned with the national industrial strategy.
Thank you, Naif and Muhammad, for your insight, and thank for the audience for joining us. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Another fantastic panel. They're really laying the groundwork, as we saw across the mining sector as well. Now we're going to change gears a little bit. One of my favorite topics, which is talking about from farm to fork, securing the value chains of the agri-food sector. And we're basically going to be looking at strengthening the value chains and what it takes to do that, and indeed the production through to the distribution. Of course, we're going to cover this not only on a local and regional basis, but also on a global basis as well. And looking at the Kingdom's strategic positioning and the role of national champions in securing that supply and enhancing food security, and of course leveraging technology and innovation to build those resilient, future-ready agri-food systems. So, gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage my panelists today. And first up, I would like to invite engineer Suleiman Al-Rumey. He is the Chief Executive Officer of SALIC. So please come and take a seat. And he'll be joined on stage by Fawaz Al-Tamimi, the Executive Vice President of Tamimi. So Fawaz, lovely to meet you. Take a seat. Assalamu alaikum. We met on the phone, Fawaz, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so it's lovely to see you in person. And you were just so enthusiastic about your topic. And if we liken you to an oil company, we've got upstream and downstream.
Absolutely.
Here in terms of consumers and the way that we get products to those consumers. So, but we're all talking primarily about the supply chain, as given what it says outside. And really, I thought I'd start first in terms of SALIC's role in securing that agri-food value chain. We've talked about that from production to sourcing through to logistics and processing, all the way through to retail and consumers. So what are you doing to secure that? I know that's a pretty big question because there's many, many things at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh jami'an. Masakum al khair. Thank you for this. This is a very wide question. When we talk about how we structure our positioning as a SALIC or as a country to ensure that we resolve the bottlenecks in the supply chain for the strategic commodity in the kingdom. PIF is setting a very good and a very detailed strategy for us to ensure that we achieve the target in a sustainable way. Sustainability or financial sustainability is very important in this sector because you don't want to move on and grow on the back of subsidy. You want to ensure that you can achieve your targets and will be self-funded from your operation. When we talk about we have around 12 commodities, major commodities that we are concerned about in terms of investing in. And each commodity, we go deep dive on each one of them and go through the value chain of that commodity. And based on how critical that commodity for us as a kingdom, then we go and we invest more in a different value chain of that commodity. Grains, for example, is one of the most critical commodities that we are concerned about it in the kingdom because it have wheat, corn, barley, and soy. All of that is one of the major things or major commodities that we are concerned about it. For this reason, when we invest from the beginning of the value chain, which is farming. We go up to the origination, then trading, and also including the logistic, because you want to ensure that you will not have any bottleneck on supplying those commodities from the origin to the destination, and to ensure that we have all of this. We did not stop on the port of Saudi Arabia. Our mandate is to continue to ensure that those commodities delivered to the end user in the most efficient way, where local logistic, which inland logistic in the kingdom is very important. Ports as well is very important for us, and to ensure that when we produce something in the kingdom, we produce it in the most efficient way, from accessing to the right commodity in the right place where the producers, like for example Ukraine or Brazil, they have a competitive advantage in producing those commodities, and to ensure that we deliver it to the end user in the most efficient way.
And that gives us a really good oversight, thank you. And I'm going to get Fawaz to pick that up, because I almost do a bit of a scorecard with you, Fawaz, because you're already self-sufficient in a number of products. And I think it's worth maybe highlighting to the audience that may not be aware of already some of the products that you've managed to really nail down those supply chains to the consumer. So maybe we can talk about that, which I think is important, given the points that Suleiman meant about the macroeconomic situation. And post-COVID, we all got a very sharp focus in terms of our supply chains and how to supply.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum. In the retail business, the backbone of every supermarket or food retailer is the fresh food. So it's either meat, poultry, or greens and vegetables. In the past, we used to have a bit of an obstacle because it was very hard to source locally from producers the quantity that we needed. The reason is there was a lot of players, but they were all small players. And that was very hard to, if you want to trace your quality, you want to make sure that you have quantity day after day, the same products. In the past, it was very hard. Nowadays it's a lot easier because there is a lot of big players, and we work directly with them, of course, with a commitment to buy a certain amount of produce that we can source to all our stores. One of the examples that we have done is we have a production center where we have plant the small seedlings, and we give it to farmers so the farmers can grow the crops, and I will guarantee in return to buy a certain amount of it. The rest he can sell it in the market. This chemistry makes sure that we all are in business, we all make good profit, and at the same time we control the cost, and it gives our customer the certain quality that he believes that we have. So this kind of chemistry is very important to us.
It's almost going back to the basics, the 101 of the commodity markets and why it was invented. And I just want to build on that for a moment before I come back to Suleiman. And you've got this model that you've created. I know from speaking to you, you said that a lot of it has been modeled on a lot of research that you've done for successful factors on global templates. So can you talk us through some of those, and then I'll get Suleiman to pick up on the other part of that.
True. I mean, we source fresh food from all over the world, literally all over the world. So Chile, Brazil, Peru, and then here Egypt, Jordan. And we learn what's the best practices. So from that, we understood that there is some important parts that they have to have in order to succeed. The whole chain succeeds. For example, for us as a retailer, it's very important that we have relation with the farm itself. We kind of cut the middleman. That will make sure that both parties make sufficient profit and control the cost. So one of the examples is, I mean, we have our facility in Al-Kharj that something that we learned from outside. So we have a facility that has hydroponic planting. This kind of planting uses only 10% of the water that's used in the conventional planting. And right now we are producing different greens that we are selling in our supermarket. And from the start, from planting it until production, until it gets to the shelf freshly daily, it is untouched by human, it is only observed. So this kind of chain is very much needed, where you make sure that you have daily fresh, you can control the cost, and you make sure that to use whatever reserves that we have, advantages that we have in our country. For example, what I see as an opportunity is new technologies that use less water. That's definitely very much needed in Saudi, and we have succeeded in our hydroponic plant in Al-Kharj. That's one of the examples.
And we'll get on into technology because that's a big pool that we need to swim in because it's so important. But before we do that, coming back to you, Suleiman, I can see you nodding away there about global templates, and obviously by very nature your role is very global as well. What have you seen that's worked around the world and that you're bringing into the system? And likewise, what we're seeing a lot of in the Gulf is that there's a lot of systems working here locally that are starting to be copied elsewhere. So when it comes to supply chains and logistics,
Yeah, I think when we talk about the supply chain as general terms, it starts from, for us, it starts from the farm till literally to the fork, where you will have two major elements that also we are concerned about it in this domain, which is food losses and food waste. The food losses happens in the upstream, and the food waste happen more into the downstream industry. This is the thing that we are also concerned about from a food security perspective here in the kingdom, considering that 30% of the food is wasted. Wasted means from the table to the trash, which is a huge amount of food that's being wasted. And it's equivalent to the water also consumed on the planet that's been also wasted. When you talk about international experience on the logistic, I think we talk about containers, dry bulk, all of those kind of shipping lines that also there is a lot of optimization. There is a lot of best practices in the market that been implemented. And I assume that in the beginning we were having Mr. Ahmed Esbei from Al-Bahri, who was there mastering this kind of business and the national carrier for us, which is we apply those kind of best practices globally and ensure that efficiency all over the place from the farm to the fork. Locally, I think also good planning, good forecasting, having the right storage, and for those commodities, especially as Mr. Fawaz mentioned, the fresh product is very sensitive to that one, because if you don't have the proper handling for those products, you will end up with a huge amount of waste out of that production, which is you consume a lot of money, water, and resources to produce them to begin with.
I mean, it's a very complicated, not to mention the refrigerated element of that transportation system as well. So very much the theme for all the different panels across these 2 days is, where is that part of the supply chain open for business to other private investors? So when you look across your many, many businesses, where, if somebody's sat in the audience thinking they either involved in already investing in the kingdom, but they would like to build that up further, where are you seeing the opportunities for people to help you with, and maybe the challenges to solve?
I think it's a challenge, but it's an opportunity from the private sector perspective. We are talking about huge volumes that flowing to the kingdom in the future, considering that if we consider the poultry industry, we are almost 60-65% self-sufficient today, and the target is to go to up to 90-95% self-sufficient in this industry in the kingdom. That, if you convert it to tonnage and volumes of grains that we are importing from outside, it's huge. So we'll talk about now, this is an opportunity for logistic, inland logistic, rail car, and railway is developing on this domain as well. When you talk about the fresh produce in the kingdom, fruits and vegetables, also we want to achieve a certain level of self-sufficiency in the kingdom. That kind of growth as well, with the growth of population in the kingdom, that will need a huge amount of investment in the inland logistic cold chain hubs in the kingdom to distribute. Also, we talk about Riyadh as a big city. In the future, by 2050, Riyadh will not be the center when we talk about the number of population for the kingdom. We will have a different other big areas around Riyadh, and that create another businesses for the private sector. We are talking about also air freight. For some of the commodities. Red meat is a good example here, where we are importing from Africa, for example, today, a full carcass of meat from Sudan or from Somalia to the kingdom. I think also air freight is also one of the areas that will have a big potential in the future.
Yes, and so that paints us a great picture. And Fawaz, from your perspective as well, then investment opportunities at the downstream opportunities for people in the room and elsewhere.
I'll tell you a short story that we had during COVID. I think one of the only places in the world that you haven't seen empty shelves in retail is Saudi Arabia. And that's because there was a huge collaborations between ministries and businessmen. One of the fries, the cold fries that we had to bring from the States. So we rented a plane to get our flight there. Last minute, that plane was taken by Apple. We took another plane. Last minute, it was taken by the Pentagon. The third plane worked, and we had to bring our products here. And these are, some of the products are very shy products, we call them. So if you look at something like bananas, for example, in a year we go through about 1.5 million kilograms of bananas.
What, in your household?
In ours. I hope not. Well, it's in our supermarkets. And that's only Tamimi market, so let alone others. And of course, banana is the number one fruit sold in the world. But it's a very shy fruit. For example, even if you buy it in your house, and if you put it with other fruits, it will ripe the other fruits very quickly. So it's very important to keep it away to the others. So something like this, it has to be refrigerated, unrefrigerated in the right time, and then knowing what you will sell daily or weekly is very important. Scheduling. At the same time, we have worked with Abu Abdul Aziz, we have worked with Salik to run the numbers. How can we bring the products on time to Saudi Arabia? We don't want to have any shortage on shelves, and we have succeeded in the toughest time. COVID is example.
So I let you off the hook earlier on because I said, tell us the things that you're kind of self-sufficient in
Yes.
the kingdom already. Now, I think you said to me potatoes. I can't quite
Yes.
remember. But let's run through that list because I think it's quite interesting to set that context to show the progress that's been made.
Yes, I think it's a very unique business proposition is what we did with potatoes. Right now, we're working with farmers in Hail and Al Qassim, where we give them the seedlings of potatoes in a cost price, and in return, they will plant it, grow the crops, and we have signed a certain amount that we're going to buy back from them with that certain price. And of course, they are free to sell the rest to the market. This kind of arrangement was very important, I think, because it was lost before because the farmer wasn't making enough financial. It wasn't financially viable for him to do it. So somebody in the middle was making all the money, and then when it arrives to the retail, it becomes too costly. In the retail business, we are not interested to buy in the whole chain. The best chemistry is for us to be sufficient and the farmer to be sufficient and to have this chemistry between us. So I don't want to get the farmer's business. I want him to grow, and then we're going to grow together. That's the most important link that we have.
And to be self-sufficient, as you said, so everybody gains. And so, Suleiman, in terms of technology and innovation, obviously that's going to play a major part in the next step forward. And we were hearing on the mining panel just a short while ago about how regionally, and you mentioned these hubs are going to grow even more so. So, how are you going to use technology and innovation? They're kind of the silent backbone, aren't they, of your sector to enable an improvement in the value chain?
I think the main challenge that we are facing in this kind of a food resilience globally is to decouple the food production from the water consumption, because it's all about water consumption. To resolve this issue, the main thing is to come up with a new type of product or crops that can tolerate the water level, the environment, and all that stuff. This is one element when we talk about innovation. The food consumption by 2050 will be completely different than the food consumption that we are seeing today, for a simple reason that the population, the growth in the population will not come from the same area that we are used to it. I mean, simple example. We talk about 4 billion people and the growth for the population. All that 4 is will come from Africa, not from Europe, not from Asia, not from North America. It's from Africa. It's a different diet system, a different focus when we talk about say more of the protein. The way that we will feed 12 billion in the future is not the same way or the conventional way that we are used to it. So innovation will play a major role here. The estimation of that kind of investment in this domain is around $13 trillion from now till 2050 to be deployed in that to ensure that we will be successful in the food system transformation for the planet. That's a game changer. One of the good example, which Mr. Fawaz mentioned, the hydroponic systems. Hydroponic systems for a country like us here in Saudi Arabia, where we have a major issue with the water, that you can produce the same product with a better quality with only 10% of the water that you use it in the conventional way. 90% saving. Imagine what you will do with with that kind of 90%. The cycle will not stop there. Now, how you recycle the water as well and reuse it again in the system, even the 10%. So how efficient you will be on this, so you will produce more crops or by the same amount of water, so you don't have to go for more lands, you don't have to consume more water from the planet, and you will feed more people in the future.
And it sounds like a bit like when in the mining sector we were talking about the service industry and obviously the other products that come off that. In terms of agriculture, you're talking about the same amount of investment opportunities to also increase there, not just in the straightforward.
Exactly, in every single element of the supply chain or the value chain, precise farming, for example, that will save. We used it in our farms in Ukraine. We save more than 40% of the fertilizers that we are putting on the ground. This is saving. This is innovation, which reduce the cost by the end of the day. We are talking about also in the slaughterhouses as well, on how to go utilize all the byproduct that you use it in your slaughterhouses, that kind of amount of animals that you are processing every day, and every single elements being utilized, recycled, until the point that we have zero, literally zero waste out of a huge plant. For example, in our operation in South America, we slaughter around 42,000 heads of cow a day, and there is zero waste on that one. And that byproduct is going to the aviation business. Maybe the airplane that you are taking is using fuel from those kind of processing plants.
Gosh, it sounds amazing that so much progress has been made, and I'm sure everyone shares your sentiments that that's a route that we want to see more of. So, Fawaz, building on that, you mentioned hydroponics, and I'd like, Suleiman, for you to dive back in on this as well. Is we talked about innovation and tech there, but also the use of data. Absolutely. Because, mapping all of these things that Suleiman was talking about there is super, super important. So what does that look like down the retail end of the chain?
Well, I mean, one more point I'd like to add on the sufficiency and technology in hydroponics. So if you have, let's say, 1,000 square meter where you're going to use the farm. The beauty by hydroponic, not only it uses less water, but you're doing vertical farming. So in the 1,000 square meter, you're actually using 10,000 square meter because you're doing vertically. So that's a great use of space. And at the same time, what you're producing, because Saudi Arabia it's a very big country. So the demand on different vegetables and crops and meat differs from one area to another. So in the winter, sometimes you can have more colder winter in the north, and it's more mild in Jeddah. So there's going to be different demand for different crops during different times. For example, if you're talking about something like the rice, we know that from the information that from our customers gave us, that, for example, some kind of rice are popular only in the eastern region. Riyadh will deal with something different. Jeddah will deal with something different. We have a technology that will tell you exactly how much demand on different products, on which time, so you are previously prepared for that. And you can have it right on time to the shelves.
And another theme I'd like to explore finally, we've just got a little bit more time left now, is traceability, because of course all that data will be used to make those supply chains more efficient, but also improve traceability, because we've all seen in various industries how that is very much the responsibility of the end user rather than just further down the value chain. So how are you both using data? Maybe I'll start with you, Suleiman, to look at the traceability of those products throughout your system.
This is a very important aspect, and now with the requirements from the global system on the sustainability aspects, traceability as well, is that you want to ensure also you are applying this and you be ahead of the game when you are doing, for example, in the farming industry. We are experiencing this in Africa, for example, on growing, for example, rubber. So we are supplying a certified rubber to the tire manufacturer, and they ask for that it should be traceable, and also the sustainability part of it is very important. Traceability will help to ensure that the food safety, and also to ensure that you are using the best practices on your activities. So in terms of labors, in terms of complying with all the environmental aspects, and to ensure that every single operation that you have is comply with that one. I mean, in Ukraine, for example, in Europe, we have the non-GMO seeds. So you cannot use genetically modified seeds in Europe, for example. So you have to comply, and you have to ensure that all of your product is complying with this, even if you are supplying to Europe from outside, or you are growing your products, for example, in Ukraine, which is outside the EU today, to ensure that you have the right customer, and also the customer is willing to pay premium for that, and to ensure that for the end user, that when it's tagged as, for example, organic food, you need to trace it, and there is a very complicated process to go over it. Even the pesticide that you're using, even the fertilizer that you are using, you have, if you deep dive on it, you will find a very long list of requirements to ensure that you are complying with all of this to come up with a tag with organic food, and the customer is willing to pay for that. Maybe in the retail part of it, they understand it better than us, but to ensure that you have all the data, and what Mr. Fawaz mentioned regarding that, what we call it in our terminology, contract farming, where you give the seeds, sometimes you give finance the farmers to grow the product, and then in return you take the product. That is one of the ways to mitigate the risk of ensure that I want a certain quality because my customer want that kind of a certain quality, and they want to ensure that I have it on a win-win basis with the farmer, and to cut any kind of a leakage in between.
and the true farm to fork. And Fawaz, I have to let you end on this because you are facing the consumer at the end. I think we'll all have a lot of respect for the fruit in our aisles as we view it now. I mean, most of us have got a rough idea about what's going on behind, but nowhere near the detail that you gentlemen are sharing with us today. So let's talk about that traceability and the impact that that has.
Well, here's the trick. So before, it was easy. So if you buy a bottle of ketchup, it has the barcode, and that's easy to trace it. Life is beautiful. Now, it was very hard previously to trace, let's say, some leaf greens, because it did not come through a company. It's there, and the customer will pick it up and pick his own vegetables. Nowadays, it's a lot easier. Any vegetable that is sold in any supermarket is traceable not only to the buyer, it is traceable to the farm it was sourced from. This makes, so if you had let's say a bad batch, it's easy to trace it to the farm, to tell them to stop that batch and to remove it from all sales point. So security-wise and safety-wise, that's very important, and I think we have reached that. The next phase is to do that with red meat. A lot of the consumed red meat here is it's locally sourced from probably different small players. So the next step is to have red meat equivalent to poultry. And that's what we have to work with Mr. Sulaiman, probably maybe start from here to work on. Probably market more of the commercial red meat that we could sell over Saudi. I know they start doing it, but the sky is the limit. We have a very high aim on it.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like another investment opportunity, which is what we're here for. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. We know that the Kingdom's food is obviously in safe hands. I'm sure everyone's very grateful to you for that. And we look forward to hearing more about the developments as time moves on. But meanwhile, thank you so much for such an interesting session today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sulaiman. Great pleasure. Shukran jazilan. Thank you, Fawaz. And make yourself comfortable. So in just a short while's time, we're going to take a little mini break, but we are going to be signing a whole bunch of MOUs, not only related to the food sector, but above and beyond as well. So we look forward to that, really displaying, as I say, the things that we're talking about on the stage, translating back into actuality on the ground. So we'll be back in a couple of moments' time to talk about and introduce all of those MOUs. Then we have other panels, and then finally we have the STC awards ceremony this afternoon. So we'll see you then. So, the moment we've all been waiting for, pretty exciting to run through some MOUs that we have for you today. And again, very much reflecting the strategy and how that's being translated into execution here across the kingdom. Salam alaikum, welcome to the venue today, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, the Memorandum of Understanding being signed in this segment is showing collaboration again across many sectors. Just to give you some highlights: agribusiness, rail and industrial and manufacturing, all the way through to digital transformation, fintech, healthcare and wellness. They're going to demonstrate how national champions and private companies and global partners are working together to localize supply chains, build capabilities, and scale that innovation that we've been talking about so much already here today. From Saudi Arabia's value chain to advancing rail infrastructure, digital transformation, and supporting healthier and more productive workforces, these agreements are really going to showcase the building blocks of a thriving economy in action. So with that, let's move to the MOUs themselves. And the first one I'm delighted to announce is Riyadh Sleepers Factory and Pandrol. This agreement establishes local production and the assembly of rail fastening systems here in the kingdom, including technology transfer and quality assurance to support Saudi Arabia's rail infrastructure and its regional supply. So if we could have Riyadh Sleepers Factory and Pandrol here, please, to sign the MOU. Salam alaikum. Make yourself comfortable. And as we said, establishing local production and assembly of rail fastening systems here in Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and time for a wonderful photograph now to celebrate this moment. And we would like to warmly welcome for the next MOU the Saudi Coffee Company and Al Khuzama Trading Company. This is going to support Saudi coffee, very, very important, across Al Khuzama service locations, along with, of course, training their talent and elevating hospitality standards to reflect the authenticity of Saudi culture. Congratulations.
Ask for a group picture after they take a picture together. After they take a picture together, say it now for the group picture. More people are going to join.
And we are very happy if you'd like to take a group photo as well, because we know that there's many people behind the success of these MOUs. So please invite your teams up for a group photo as well. Big smiles. Thank you so much there to Saudi Coffee Company and Al Khuzama Trading Company. And we know that coffee is equivalent to oil. It's the fuel for the kingdom. So we're going to be focusing very much on that with a number of MOUs. And the next one I'm delighted to announce is the Saudi Coffee Company and Black Knight. This partnership is going to support the supply of Saudi green coffee beans to Black Knight and contribute to the growth and the visibility of Saudi coffee across retail and hospitality channels even.
We're skipping Oro. Yeah.
We not mention Saudi green coffee, not Saudi, only green coffee.
And again, happy if any teams would like to join on the stage for this moment of celebration. Black Knight. Big smiles. Congratulations. And somebody's staying on the stage and being very busy today, and that, of course, is the Saudi Coffee Company. And we would like to announce the MOU between the Saudi Coffee Company and Oro Coffee Roasters. So this MOU promotes the use of the green coffee beans by Oro Coffee Roasters, and again reinforcing that localization strategy and showcasing Saudi coffee to wider consumer markets. Oro, I believe you're in the building. Please come and join our wonderful Saudi Coffee Company for this momentous MOU. Congratulations, take a seat. Thank you so much for that, Oro Coffee Roasters and the Saudi Coffee Company. And we would like to announce the next MOU, again, Saudi Coffee Company. They're going to be needing a coffee after all of this. We should have had some on the signing table, shouldn't we? And NAMC. This agreement enables NAMC to source those green coffee beans and support, again, domestic producers and expand that market access for Saudi coffee companies. So please come on up. NAMC, if you're in the building? Yes. And as before, we would love to welcome the NAMC team if you're here to join in the celebration for a photograph. And no break for Saudi Coffee Company. This is their last MOU, and it's so exciting to see so many signed today. And this is with Dapilo Roastery as well. The MOU is supporting the supply of green coffee beans to Dapilo Roastery, strengthening local sourcing and advancing the kingdom's coffee value chain.
Is number 6, and then this last one is number 7. Will be Arabian International and PIF.
Congratulations, Mabruk. We now know where to go for all our coffee needs between the roasteries and the companies, knowing that it's all being locally sourced. You're done. You can have a coffee break now. But only if you bring some for the rest of us. Can you take the order? Fabulous. Now we're super excited to welcome an old friend from yesterday, Tassama and Aramco Digital. So welcome back. Salam alaikum. This MOU is going to explore the joint initiatives in digital transformations and innovation, focusing very much on digital enablement and the application development and the enterprise system integration to build those national digital capabilities. So Tassama and Aramco Digital, a very important signing here today. Congratulations, and again, we will have a photo of the two, and then please, we would love to see the team join too. Don't forget to smile. Fabulous. So much, and lovely to see you back again here on the stage. Thank you. It's great to see you again. So, we have some more old friends to the stage. This company is AIC. I'm sure you know them, but they are Arabian International Company for Steel Structures. And this is MOU is with the Public Investment Fund, PIF, for the National Development Fund. So investing in expanding production capacity for transmission towards manufacturing here in the Kingdom. So I'd like to welcome AIC and PIF. Nice warm round of applause. And as before, if the teams would like to join from AIC and PIF, please make your way to the stage. Thank you, gentlemen. Shukran jazilan. So now we're on to Lean and Al Bilad Bank, the very important MOU between these two entities. It's integrating contract employment sick leave services and enhancing operational efficiencies and employee experience through digital solutions. Congratulations. And I believe, of course, we'd love the group to join as well. We could ask Lean to stay on the stage because they have another MOU to sign with Red Sea Global. This MOU is an agreement that supports collaboration on AI-powered wellness solutions and advancing digital health and well-being initiatives.
Cancel. There's still this one, but we're waiting to find them. Sorry, cancel. There's only this, and we're waiting for them to show up. Okay? Yeah, we're waiting for them to show up. I told the team to have everything ready. I told them they have to be ready. So just wait.
Don't forget the all-important team meeting, team photo and meeting on the stage. And congratulations to Red Sea Global and Lean.
Not yet ready.
Thank you so much. Let everyone enjoy that moment. Overuk. And we do have one more outstanding MOU. We know the traffic's busy out there, both inside and outside. It's one of my personal favorites, camel milk. And it's chocolate camel milk, but we'll just wait and see if the next MOU entities can join us. This has been Tawood Holding Company and Sawani Chocolate Camel Milk. But meanwhile, of course, we've seen these signings collectively demonstrate how those partnerships are indeed building localization, innovation, and capability building across sectors that really do matter to the kingdom's future. From coffee to culture to rail to digital services and workforce well-being, we've seen each of these MOUs reflect a shared commitment to build resilient value chains and accelerate private sector involvement in the various entities, which is what the PIF Private Sector Forum is all about in its 4th edition. My second one here, and indeed today we've seen, and yesterday, a lot of MOUs being signed and some pretty interesting panels as well, talking about the investment opportunities that are out there. So,
Might be about 10 minutes, so you don't have to keep going.
So we're going to take a break for about 10 minutes. We're going to enjoy a little bit of music, grab a coffee or hold on to your seats, because after the final MOU, we are going to be beginning with a graduation ceremony from the Partner Development Programme and the Public Investment Fund Private Sector Forum 2026. So we'll be hearing from them, and we will be sharing some prizes, and we have one more panel for you after that as well. We will be talking about innovation procurement strategies for business growth. So keep yourself comfortable, or grab a coffee, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes' time. Good afternoon, and for those of you that stayed with us, thank you very much. And for those new into the room, salam alaikum, and we are now going to take our final MOU. I don't want to have favourites, but if I did have a favourite, I'm afraid to say it's camel milk. Don't mind the coffee, but camel milk is super exciting. So the MOU here we have today is Bin Dawood Holding Company and Sawani Chocolate Camel Milk. You can make your way to the stage. Obviously, within this MOU, there is an obligation to supply the MC with a year's worth of camel milk to consume. Congratulations. Bin Dawood and Sawani. Congratulations. And if any members of your teams would like to join you on stage, we would be more than delighted to have you up on the stage. So a group photo to celebrate this wonderful occasion. Thank you so much for joining us today and ending what has been an incredible couple of days with about over 30, maybe 32, 35 MOUs being signed, and really evidence on the ground of all the activity that's taking place to localize that supply chain and improve efficiencies and stretch all the different industries across that supply chain. So thank you so much for joining us today. We are now moving to our second segment of the afternoon, which we're very excited about. And after this, just to give you a highlight, we will be having another panel as well taking place today. The final one of the day will be innovation procurement strategies for business growth. But before that, we have a series of presentations and some celebrations to have here on the stage. So we would like to welcome the Partner Development Programme, the PDP, graduation ceremony held today here during the Public Investment Fund Private Sector Forum 2026. Obviously delighted to have you here joining us to celebrate the achievements of the partners of STC and recognise their commitment and participation in the programme. Well, to kick off the first part of this, to introduce the programme overall and of course its very important objectives, it's my great pleasure to invite Mr. Zayed bin Atiq, the STC Strategic Partnership Director, to share an overview of the Partner Development Programme and its key objectives. So please join us on the stage. One warm round of applause for Mr. Zayed.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for joining us today. I'll be giving a brief about the objectives of the Partner Development Programme that STC provides to its strategic partners in the region and locally. So the strategic objective of the Partner Development Programme serves as part of the vision of the Kingdom in expanding the economic diversification and expansion. We have four main objectives when it comes to the Strategic Partnership Programme. The first objective is the capability and skill enhancements of our local partners, the regional partners. Our goal is to have strong partners that will serve us and serve the market and grow with us. The second objective is to have an empowered local excellence, and this goes into two separate tracks. The first track is with our team Rawafid, where they engage with global partners in delivering local content in the region. And the second track, which is part of this program, which is focusing on the local and regional partners in the kingdom. The third objective is business continuity. As you all know, in order to have a sustainable supply chain, you need to have a strong partnerships with the local partners, which will serve us and serve the market as a whole. And finally, our focus is to have our partners grow together. We want to grow as STC with our partners, and we want them to grow together in the region. Their growth will always support our growth. Therefore, we are paying close attention to supporting our partners in the region. The expected outcomes. We have three main expected outcomes of this program. One, we want to have enhanced capabilities of our partners. Two, we want to have a strengthened relationship with the partners that we support and provide this program to. And finally, like I said, is to promote a sustainable supply chain that will serve the market, the local market, and serve STC in its goals, in its growth objectives. So how do we do this? How was the program designed? We have 5 main tracks when it comes to this program. First, it's product management. And of course, it goes without saying, if you don't know or if you cannot manage your product, then you will not be able to sell it to us. So having a strong command of your product in the market will drive growth for you as a partner, as well as growth for us in our project. 2 is project management. We have a lot of partners who are strong when it comes to their product. However, they lack when it comes to managing projects after they win project with STC or any other companies in the market. So we wanted to give project management some light in this program as well. 3 is cybersecurity. As you all know, in this new world, cybersecurity is key to the success of any company. And as an ICT company, it is key to our success. So we need to have all of our partners to have a strong understanding of cybersecurity, as well as all of the certifications that are required when it comes to working with STC or any ICT company in the market. 4 is finance and business. And this is a no-brainer for any company that wants to work in the market. Having financial expertise and understanding is key for the success of any partner and any company in any market. Finally, proposals. We wanted to help some of our partners when it comes to creating proposals. A lot of the companies that we work with are strong in what they do, but they fail or they lack when it comes to having strong proposals with us. So we wanted to improve the writing skills when it comes to proposals with the partners. Of course, as many of you know, the Partner Development Program is not a new program. We have been working on the program for the past year. We also graduated the 2024 cohort in the same platform last year. And this year we will celebrate with you the graduation of the 2025 cohort. But through these endless cycles of learning, we had some feedback from our partners, and we wanted to make some enhancement to the program. So we made 2 key enhancements this year. The first is we introduced gamification and motivation. The idea here is to have our partners be more assertive in the classroom and to be more committed to the program. And today as well, we will recognize 3 of the companies that excelled in these domains. The second is online-led expert sessions. A key feedback that we received from our partners last year was the fact that they wanted to hear from experts that work with STC or that work in STC about the topics and domains that we cover in the program. So we created online coaching sessions with experts from STC. As a matter of fact, we have some of our experts here, and I would like you to join me in a round of applause for our experts who have supported the program. Thank you for your support and the online sessions that you've provided. These sessions took place after the in-class sessions, and they provided an insight into how STC views each of these tracks. Now I will hand it over to my colleague Yara Al-Haydari, who will give you or shed some light on the learning journey that the partners went through. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh jami'an, and good afternoon everyone. Today we are celebrating, as Ziad mentioned, the graduation of batch 2 of BDB program. And I'm here to explain the learning journey that we offered in collaboration with Partners Development Team to ensure that the participant will have tailored and customized learning experience that covers the need for the 5 pillars mentioned earlier. The project management, product management, cybersecurity, business development, and finance. The journey of batch 2 started last year in November, and we just concluded this week the final module. Our journey is customized and delivered. We are proud for that with our internal capability and partners. And today we have our trainers today with us. Tanweer and other experts are joining us in this graduation. So this is the journey starting from the kickoff and then product management, followed by project management essentials to ensure that they have the transferable knowledge and skills that are shared across the sectors regardless of industry. After that, the cybersecurity essentials, and then finance for business success to ensure they have the fundamentals of finance terminologies and they can understand different financial sheets and they can conduct some financial analysis and modeling over that. And finally, writing business proposal with impact, where they will embed their knowledge in terms of writing impactful proposals, business proposals, to ensure that the requirements and the value and the benefits of the project are explained clearly in the proposals. Thank you so much, and thank you for the BDB team for this collaboration. Looking forward, inshallah, to see batch 3 this year, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Yara and Ziad for running us through the program and the highlights and indeed the skills that have been gained during that very valuable program. Well, the outcome as well is some winners, and today we move to one of the key moments of today's ceremony, which is recognizing those partners for the commitment and active participation that they took in this partner development program. And to present these recognitions, I would like to invite Mr. Abdulaziz Al-Zarani to the stage. He is the Vice President of Shared Services and Strategy and Performance. So we will now introduce our recognized partners. Welcome, Salam Alaikum, Mr. Abdulaziz, and kindly ask the executive representatives to join us on stage. So the partners being recognized today are Tika, MDAD Solutions, and Wear Filter. So please join us here to receive your recognition. And MDAD Solutions, congratulations. Finally, Wire Filter. Please join us on the stage. And we'd now like to invite all three partners for their outstanding commitment and engagement, and indeed to all the recognised partners as well. So if STC and PIF executives and PDP partners, CEOs or executive representatives would like to join us for the official photo, Abdulaziz would be very pleased to welcome you to the stage. So please make your way, don't be shy. All of those that have been recognised here today from STC and the Public Investment Fund executives and PDP partners, and of course the CEOs and representatives of the companies. Maybe perhaps use the steps as well if you would like to.
One of them is a bit late, so either can say we're going to take a short break and then both are going to start, okay, on the next panel. And one of them is on its way.
Don't forget those big smiles. And congratulations to all partners involved in this. Well done. And thank you, and we wish you continued success and strong collaboration as you move forward. So we've had an absolutely packed schedule today. We've had the MOUs, over 13 signed here this afternoon and yesterday, and indeed a whole bunch of panels really looking at the localization of the supply chains. Yesterday was very much about setting those foundations, and today has been very much about showing the momentum that is taking place here on the ground in the Kingdom. And of course the prize giving ceremony further underlines the cooperation and training that is taking place. We do have one more panel. We're going to take a very, very short break before we begin, but just to give you a heads up, it will be the final panel on innovation in procurement strategies for business growth, and we will be starting that in about 5 minutes' time. So, Salam Alaikum. For those that have just joined us in the room, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you to the logistics and industrial stage. We are super excited to have our last panel of the afternoon, and it's a very, very important topic, the innovation procurement strategies for business growth. It's really been highlighting everything that we've been talking about together, those procurement strategies. So, what's in store? A bit of innovation procurement strategy to drive that growth in the value chain, and also capabilities to support organizational performance and transformation. No pressure. So I'd like to invite the moderator of this session up first, Fahad Al-Barkan. He's the VP of Broadcasting and Media Strategy and Corporate Affairs at the Public Investment Fund.
Thank you.
And he will introduce his panelists.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. And since it's the last panel, we can take all the time we need, yeah? Thank you. I'm just kidding. I'll switch now to Arabic, which will be the language for this session. أرحب معي على المسرح الأستاذ محمد القحطاني مدير إدارة المشتريات في صندوق الاستثمارات العامة. أيضا الأستاذ عبد الإله البراك شريك ورئيس مكتب الرياض في شركة أوليفر وايمن. حياك الله. تفضل. الله يعطيكم العافية. تفضل.
إياك.
بداية الحقيقة ودنا يعني نبدأ في موضوع المشتريات، لأن كان هناك مفهوم يعني في السابق أن المشتريات هي أمر يعني لها مفهوم تقليدي، لكن الآن أصبح الموضوع مختلف. فربما أوجه سؤالي بداية للأستاذ محمد إذا سمحت لي أستاذ عبد الإله في مسألة وظيفة المشتريات. يعني ينظر لها أنها خفض تكاليف فقط، الآن هذا الدور يشهد تحول كبير يعني مع التغيرات اللي حاصلة الآن في ظل الاقتصاد العالمي المتغير. يعني من وجهة نظركم كيف تطور هذا الدور، دور المشتريات بالتحديد، من وظيفة تنفيذية إلى محرك استراتيجي يعني للنمو والابتكار؟
أولا شكرا لك أخوي فهد ومساكم الله بالخير، وسعيد أني موجود اليوم في هذا اللقاء اللي يجمع شركاء أساسيين في مسيرة النمو الاقتصادي للمملكة. وجود اليوم القطاع الخاص يعكس دورهم كشريك حقيقي في بناء منظومة أعمال قادرة على تحقيق قيمة مستدامة وليس فقط تنفيذ المشاريع. وبالحديث عن المشتريات لم يعد من المناسب النظر للمشتريات على أنها وظيفة تشغيلية تقتصر على تنفيذ الإجراءات أو خفض التكاليف. اليوم أصبحت المشتريات أداة استراتيجية توجه القرار وتساعد في رفع الكفاءة ورفع جاهزية سلاسل الإمداد. اليوم في صندوق الاستثمارات العامة نعمل وفق مفهوم المشتريات الاستراتيجية اللي تبدأ بفهم احتياجات الأعمال، فهم السوق، مرورا ببناء الخيارات، ومن ثم انتهاء بعقد الشراكات قادرة على تحقيق قيمة حقيقية مستدامة. اليوم لم نعد نركز على ماذا نشتري بل كيف نشتري، وما هو الأثر الذي نخلقه من خلال قرارات الشراء على المدى الطويل. ويشمل هذا التحول إعادة تعريفنا اليوم على علاقتنا مع المورد، فلم تعد العلاقة قائمة على نموذج بائع ومشتري، بل أصبحت العلاقة علاقة استراتيجية. اليوم ننظر للمورد على أنه شريك في القيمة يساهم في دعم الابتكار وتعزيز المرونة أمام المتغيرات. ومع هذا التحول أصبحت فعلا اليوم المشتريات محرك للنمو وليست فقط تنفيذ للإجراءات، واليوم أصبح لها دور أساسي في خلق قيمة مضافة في الاقتصاد الوطني.
جميل. والحقيقة ودي أشدد على محرك للنمو وأوجه سؤالي للأستاذ عبد الإله، يعني من منظوركم ومما تتابعون أيضا في تجاربكم محليا سواء أو حتى عالميا في شركة أوليفر وايمن، يعني وش أبرز النماذج اللي ممكن أو الممارسات حتى اللي تجعل من المشتريات فعلا محرك للنمو؟
شاكر لك أخوي فهد وأشكر الزملاء القائمين على المنتدى الاستضافة. يعني على متم ما ذكره أخوي محمد، فعلا دور اليوم إدارات المشتريات ومنظومة المشتريات يتنامى في التحول الاقتصادي الموجود حاليا، لا سيما المرحلة الحالية، بحيث أنه في عديد من المشاريع الحكومية ومشاريع التابعة لصندوق الاستثمارات العامة في مراحل تطوير النمو في بداية مراحلها، فكم العمل والمشتريات والتعامل يكون أوسع وأكبر في المرحلة هذه. أعتقد هناك تحول منهجي مختلف جدا عن الوضع السابق من ناحية أنه تعامل المشتريات كممكن أساسي للعمل. اليوم وجودها جزء أساسي جدا في تنمية الأعمال وفي محاولة تحسين الإجراءات الأساسية. نرى أنه فعلا لها أدوار جوهرية في استحداث أساليب جديدة للتعاقد والشراء، أساليب تمكن تطور العمل وكذلك تمكن تغيره. فالمصطلح التقليدي بالطرح والترسية الآن يختلف، هناك نماذج مستحدثة موجودة عالميا بعضها مطبق عندنا، يجب أن يكون هناك خطط واضحة لتبنيها لدى المؤسسات والجهات وكذلك مبادرة من القطاع الخاص في ابتكار بعض النماذج هذه. نتحدث اليوم عن كيف أن يكون للمشتريات دور أساسي جدا في المساهمة في تحقيق الوفورات بشكل استراتيجي، ما هو شكل يعني إجرائي فقط من ناحية البحث عن العرض الأقل. كيف أن يكون للمشتريات دور أساسي في المساهمة في استحداث أنماط عمل جديدة. نتكلم اليوم عن المشتريات مقابل الأداء، بحيث أنه ما يكون الأداء مقابل سعر مالي محدد، يكون الأداء والمشترى بناء على مستهدف أداء معين، سواء في تحقيق وفرات أو في تحقيق عوائد معينة أو في تحسين إجراء أحد الإجراءات الداخلية للأعمال. كذلك الأدوار الأساسية اللي اليوم نراها، اليوم هناك أولوية عالية جدا في استقطاب رأس المال البديل من القطاع الخاص، من المستثمرين. فكيف يكون المشتريات آلية لهيكلة المشاريع ذات الأولوية بالتعاون مع قطاع الأعمال، بحيث أنه فعلا يكون في فكرة كيف ننتقل من آلية تقليدية لبناء وتطوير مشروع إلى أن يكون لا فعلا في مساهمة القطاع الخاص. وأعتقد اليوم عندنا تجارب ناضجة جدا. كذلك الجانب الأخير اللي قد يكون أقرب القطاع الحكومي اللي هو آلية بحث آليات الخصخصة وآليات تعهيد أو بناء ونقل الأصول وتشغيلها مع القطاع الحكومي، كيف يكون فعلا لقائد وقائدي المشتريات متخصصين مشتريات دور فاعل جدا في العملية هذه وتحولها. أعتقد هذه مؤشرات أساسية جدا للانتقال للدور هذا وكيف أنها تكون فعلا تلعب دور استراتيجي.
جميل جميل. أيضا ممكن أعود مجددا أستاذ محمد، يعني من وجهة نظر الصندوق ومن أهداف الصندوق أيضا يعتبر تعزيز المحتوى المحلي أحد الركائز الأساسية لاستراتيجية صندوق الاستثمارات العامة. كيف تعد المشتريات تمثل أداة وأداة مبتكرة لدعم النمو والأعمال لكل من الصندوق والقطاع الخاص أيضا، والشيء ربما نقول أبرز الآليات اللي تدعم وتعزز هذا المجال؟
كما ذكرت سابقا، لم يعد دور المشتريات دور تشغيلي، بل أصبح الدور استراتيجي. وبالمثل فإن المحتوى المحلي يعد خيار استراتيجي في بناء اقتصاد قوي ومتنوع، وليس كمتطلب تنظيمي أو نسبة مستهدفة. وبالنسبة للصندوق والقطاع الخاص، إذا أديرت المشتريات بعقلية استراتيجية فهي لا تشتري خدمات ومنتجات فقط، بل تمكن الأسواق وتبني القدرات وتساهم في تسريع نمو القطاع الخاص بما يخدم أهداف المنظمة والاقتصاد الوطني مع بعض. وفي هذا الإطار يحرص صندوق الاستثمارات العامة أن يكون دوره داعم وممكن للمحتوى المحلي من خلال تمكين الموردين الوطنيين ودعم نموهم وخلق البيئة للتوسع والنمو.
جميل. أيضا بالحديث عن القطاع الخاص أستاذ عبد الإله، يعني كيف يمكن للشركات بالأخص نتكلم عن المتوسطة والناشئة في أن تهيئ نفسها لتكون شريك في المحتوى المحلي؟
جميل، سؤال جدا، واعتقد انه موضوع ذو شجن. التعامل مع المحتوى المحلي عادة له مسارين. يعني ما عندي احصائيه بس اقول للاسف الكثير ياخذ احد المسارات، انك تتعامل معه كمتطلب تنظيمي بحت وتحاول انك تبني خطتك على المتطلب التنظيمي، او انك تتعامل معه كممكن استراتيجي لتحول اعمالك واليه نموك سواء في المملكه او في اي منطقه جغرافيه. للأسف الكثير يتعامل معه كمتطلب تنظيمي بحت، فبناء عليه أنا عندي نسبة معينة، كيف أسوي طريقة أني أرسم نموذج
أداء واجب فقط
يوصلني للرقم اللي أنا أحتاجه. وغالبا هذا يخليك تحت ضغط، لأنه متطلبك التنظيمي هذا يرتبط بسلسلة مشتريات، فأنت ما تدري متى بتفوز في العقد وشلون توظف وشلون تجهز، كيف تبني خبرات. بقراءتي المحدودة جدا أنه أعتقد أنه هذا غالبا ما يمر فيه تحديات كبيرة جدا، وممكن أذكر بعض الأمثلة. الخيار الثاني والمسار الثاني أنك تتعامل معه كمسار استراتيجي لتحولك، تدمجه بشكل حقيقي في خطة أعمالك واستراتيجية أعمالك. كيف فعلا أفكر أنه أنا عندي خطة مستدامة في التطوير في المنطقة الجغرافية الفلانية في الدولة الفلانية، كيف أني أبني خطة. نتكلم اليوم عن المملكة وعن كذلك النمو في منظومة صندوق الاستثمارات العامة. يجب أن يكون للشركة عامة ولا سيما القطاع الصغير المتوسط أنه يكون له خطة مستدامة في دعمها وتمكينها في خطتها الاستراتيجية. اليوم تحتاج تتكلم عن كيف أنا ببني استقطاب الخبرات، كيف ببني فريق عملي هنا اليوم، كيف بأقل اعتماديتي على أطراف خارجية، يكون في آليات تحالف واضحة. لكن فعلا كيف يكون وجود هذه الخطة الاستراتيجية يمكنك فعلا للرؤية انك تبني رؤى وخطط طويلة المدى، تنتقل من مرحلة تكتيكية اللي أنا عندي مشروع ثاني وثالث إلى لا أنا عندي رؤية بعيدة أحتاج أبني فيها. أعتقد قبل سنوات، يمكن تحديدا قبل 3 سنوات، شفنا أول موجة للمتطلب التنظيمي هذا. اليوم نقرأ حقيقة عن بعض آثار اللي ركبوا الموجة مباشرة، لأنه ما كان متنبئ، ما تعامل مع الموجة بشكل صحيح. أنت فجأة عندك متطلب كبير، عندك مشروع كبير، فجأة تروح توظف، فجأة تروح تفتح مكتب، فجأة تفتح مكتب إقليمي. كل الأشياء هذه بعدين أي تغير بسيط في خططك أثر على ربحيتك، أثر على أعمالك، أثر على استدامة عملك، لأنك ما درستها بشكل مستدام. أنت كل خطتك كانت متطلب تنظيمي مبنية على يعني على قولتهم عقدين رئيسية، الانكر تننت وانكر كونتراكت. هذا يأثر فيك بشكل كبير، وبعضهم فعلا واجهوا تحديات في المرحلة الحالية، لا سيما انه يعني في تغير في آلية الشراء، في آلية التعامل معها.
جميل. وابقى معك ايضا استاذ عبد الله اذا سمحت لي استاذ محمد في مسألة التقنية الان الصاعدة في العصر الحديث وهي الذكاء الاصطناعي. يعني قاعد نشوف تطور سريع وكبير ويأثر بلا شك على كثير من القطاعات، ولا زال أيضا يتنبأ أن تتأثر في قطاعات أخرى. من منظوركم وأيضا مما ترونه في الأسواق، يعني وين ترى أكبر فرص الذكاء الاصطناعي في القطاع الخاص، وأيضا المتطلبات الأساسية لنجاح الذكاء الاصطناعي فيها؟
يمكن الفرص كبيرة، لكن القاعة مليئة بالأحباب والوجوه المألوفة لنا. لو أسأل أسوي يمكن استبيان، نص وقتك أو 3/4 وقتك وين يروح؟ ما بين شاشتين، شاشة إكسل وشاشة أوتلوك. بعضكم يعني عنده EBS وعنده SAP whatever is tracking. لازم نفكر، هل هذا بيكمل في ال3 سنوات الجاية ولا بيتغير؟ هل بيكمل أصلا في ال6 شهور الجاية ولا بيتغير؟ فأنت عندك فرصة أنك تفكر فعلا استخدام التقنية واستخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي كيف بيغير عملك بشكل يومي. ممكن تقعد تنتظر والله متى إدارة التقنية بتجيب لي تقنية أفضل استخدمها بشكل جيد، أو أنك أنت تدرس وتبدأ تعرف أنت وش تغير دورك وكيف بيأثر، وكيف ممكن تطلب الخدمة المناسبة كذلك من إدارات التمكين الداخلي. الذكاء الاصطناعي بلا شك يعني قادم على تغير كبير جدا في كل شيء نسويه. حتى الاكسل والاوتلوك اللي تتعامل معه اليوم بيكون فيه تغير جذري. كيف تعجل في تحليل بياناتك، في تقييم عروضك، في تحليل مستوى صرفك التاريخي والمستقبلي، وضع التنبؤات فيه، هذا كله بيأثر فيه. اليوم وجدنا حالات استخدام واضحة وواقعية جدا بدراسة هيكلة الصرف على مدى 5 سنوات 10 سنوات في بعض الحالات، لبحث الوفرات، لبحث الشركاء المتكررين، كيف اني فعلا ابني آلية استهداف، كيف اني ابني منهجية لتحقيق الوفر في هذا الجانب وتنميتها. كذلك وجدنا فيه آليات تطبيق لتعجيل العمليات. اليوم إذا أنا مثلا والله إجراء ما بعد الطرح والترسية قد يستهلك مني 20-30 يوم، في فرصة كبيرة جدا أني أختصر المدى الزمني هذه. الفرص كبيرة، التغير لن يأتي من النموذج السابق، التقنية تطور وتقدم لك، التغير سيأتي من الأعمال. صاحب الخدمة يجب أن يطلب الخدمة اللي يحتاجها، يجب أن يدرس. يعني قبل يمكن 15 سنة استخدام التقنية كان محدود في بعض الجوانب هذه. اليوم إذا أنت ما تدرس وتطلع، والمصادر غير محدودة أبدا، يعني في سعة في المصادر بشكل مهول جدا. فأنت عندك فرصة اليوم أنك تبحث عن مصادرك وتشوف أنك كيف ممكن تستخدمها في عكس وتحسين إجرائك.
أستاذ محمد، أيضا في إطار الذكاء الاصطناعي كيف ممكن أنه يدعم سلاسل الإمداد، وأيضا كيف أنه ممكن يخلق طريقة عمل ويخلق قيمة حقيقية للقطاع الخاص؟
اليوم تجاوز الذكاء الاصطناعي من كونه أداة تقنية إلى أن أصبح عامل مساعد زي ما ذكر أخوي عبد الإله في تسريع وتطوير العمل، تحسين جودة وكفاءة اتخاذ القرار. اليوم نشوف الذكاء الاصطناعي موجود في أغلب مراحل الشراء. اليوم وجوده في قراءة وتحليل البيانات بشكل أعمق، التنبؤ بالطلب، رصد المخاطر، أيضا قراءة السوق وبشكل أعمق، وبالتالي ساعد زي ما ذكر أخوي عبد الإله في تسريع الإجراءات، رفع كفاءة اتخاذ القرار، سرعة التنفيذ. وهذا لو بنربطه بالأثره ودوره في القطاع الخاص، فيه أثر ودور مباشر وواضح. اليوم أصبحت الفرص أكثر وضوح، الطلبات أكثر شفافية، التعاملات أكثر كفاءة واستقرار، وهذا هو جوهر وجود الذكاء الاصطناعي. فهو عامل مساعد في الأخير يخفف العبء والعمليات المتكررة على فريق العمل، ويمكن فريق العمل بعد من التركيز على الجانب الاستراتيجي.
جميل. أيضا ربما سؤال أخير في الختام أستاذ محمد، يعني ما هي الرسالة التي تودون إيصالها للحضور بالأخص الشركات والحضور المشاركين معنا اليوم؟
منتدى القطاع الخاص ليس مجرد منصة حوار، بل مساحة فعالة لتبادل الرؤى، بناء شراكات تصنع الفرص. وزي ما ذكرت سابقا، إدارة المشتريات أو المشتريات بشكل عام في أي منظومة ليست مجرد جهة تنفيذية، بل هي أداة استراتيجية لربط الطموح بالتنفيذ وتحويل الثقة إلى شراكات، والشراكات إلى قيمة اقتصادية محققة. نجاحنا اليوم لا يقاس بحجم ما نشتريه، بل بعمق الأثر الذي نخلقه من خلال قرارات الشراء.
جميل جميل. أستاذ عبد الإله، رسالة أخيرة.
يمكن مثل ما ذكر أبو محمد، أنا أعتقد فعلا منصة تبادل رؤى وتواصل، أعتقد فرصة مميزة جدا إنه جميع الشركات وأنا من القطاع الخاص إنه فعلا ناخذ المبادرة ونطلع أفكار مبتكرة ونقدمها بالتعاون مع الجهات ذات الصلة والعملاء. الفكرة إنك أنت تنتظر الطلب يجيك هذه بتساعدك، لكن أعتقد إحنا بعض المرات إحنا كقطاع خاص نكون قريبين من التحدي اللي تواجهه العميل، فعندك فرصة أنك فعلا تبتكر أفكار جديدة تطرحها بآلية وسياق مناسب عبر القنوات الرسمية المناسبة، بحيث أنه قد يكون في لها تبني، ويوضح أنه في جهد وحرص على تحسين هذه الشراكة وبنائها بشكل يحقق نجاح لجميع الأطراف بإذن الله.
جميل جميل. أستاذ محمد القحطاني مدير إدارة المشتريات في صندوق الاستثمارات العامة، والأستاذ عبد الإله البراك شريك ورئيس مكتب الرياض في شركة أوليفر وايمن، شكرا جزيلا لكم، وأتوقع أنه فعلا يستحقون تحية لمجهودهم. شكرا
لكم جميعا.
شكرا لك.
الله يعافيك.
Thank you so much to our panelists there for the final panel entitled Innovation Procurement Strategies for Business Growth, and really painting a fantastic picture there. And concluding day 2 of the Lifelines of National Transformation, I think really the day has powerfully, the last 2 days have powerfully demonstrated the strategy that is moving the kingdom forward to sustained execution and from potential to performance. As we close this pillar, we do so with confidence and clarity on the opportunities ahead and the momentum that's taking place in the kingdom. So, shukran jazilan. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you here again next year. Have a lovely afternoon.